Hey, it's Joshua with Sunday Vlog Day. It's been a little bit. Things got kind of crazy with class. Continuing on with the my ideal cast for the hopefully upcoming Wheel of Time series. First week I started was a little unorthodox in that I started with the Forsaken, and then I went to the main characters. This week I will go to the five great captains. Now, the five great captains, not all of them get a lot of screen time, or for lack of a better term, but they are very interesting characters to look at and think about. Um, and so I'm going to give you my choices for the five great captains. You already know the sixth great captain, Matt. So let's just jump right into it. So the first great captain that we meet is Gareth Brin, the captain general of the Queen's Guard in Andor. Now he's probably one of the younger ones, um, and I would have him played by one of the younger actors in my list, and who I would pick is Matt Nable. Now Matt Nable is an Australian, so he'd have to do a British accent, which I'm sure he'd be able to do. Um, and part of the reason why I choose him is he did a very, very good job as Ra's al Ghul in Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. So he does know how to use a sword. And what's important about Gareth Brin is he's still deadly with a sword, even as like about a 60-year-old, which is slightly important in this world and for the character. On top of that, he's a very he used to be a rugby player, so he still has a little bit of that physicality that I think would transfer in very well. Next, one of the two that we probably get the most screen time with is between Davram Bashir and Rodell El Dorado. And like I've been trying to keep the actor with the ethnicity of the region I think it would be, and I always think of the Chaldeans as Armenian, and so the actor I would choose would be Marco Khan. Now the last name is a little unorthodox. Khan. That's typically a Middle Eastern name. However, this actor is Armenian, and on top of that, he's probably one of the least known among these actors. Probably one of his biggest roles was One Eye in 10,000 BC in 2008. Um, so it doesn't he doesn't seem like he may not seem like a perfect fit, but I think he could do very well if he's given free reign. On top of that, he another thing that probably would go against him is Davram Bashir is described as short. However, this guy is relatively tall at 5'10". I say relatively because I'm 5'9". Anyways, but I think it would be interesting to see him in this kind of role. He did very well as One Eye, and he's had pretty steady work. A lot of them being soldiers, good number of them being terrorists. But I think he could do very well. And so one of the other two that we get a lot of screen time with is Rodell El Dorado. Actually, the first three we've gone through have a good deal of screen time, for lack of a better term. Rodell El Dorado is also a fairly short man, but he's also from Ara Doman, which I think of as which I think of uh, Arab actors and Arab people. So for him, I would go with Alexander Siddiq. Now he's also a fairly tall guy. Let me see. And I think he'd do fairly well at this as this character, because this character, it's a lot of strategy and thinking, and he comes off and he's a fairly intelligent man. He's more than capable of pulling off this interesting and very multifaceted character, but he also can do the physicality. One of the first roles I saw him in was Kingdom of Heaven, and in Kingdom of Heaven, he was very much this imposing warrior type character, and Rodell El Dorado is a great captain, and in this kind of world, generals tend to be fairly proficient warriors, and so I think he would do very well in this role. The second to last of the great captains is Agelmar Jagad of Shinar, and Shinarans I always think of, because of the way that their culture is described, I think of as Japanese. And the only person I could think of to take on this hell of a warrior would be Ken Watanabe. One of his biggest roles was in The Last Samurai as Katsumoto Moritsugu. And he was just fantastic in it. He really had the general's tactical and strategic thought. He very much had the physicality of a predatory animal, which is what I think of when I think of warriors. And he was just fantastic in that movie, and I think he could do a very good Granted, Agelmar Jagad does not have a lot of screen time in a very big chunk of it in the middle, but I think he would be able to sink his teeth very well into this character who was probably one of my favorite of the five captains. Even though I didn't get to see a lot of him. And then the final one, who has the shortest amount of screen time of them all, is Pedram Neo, Captain Commander of the Children of the Light. He is Randian, so he's got kind of like a Welsh accent. And now he is also the oldest, and he doesn't do a lot of fighting. He does a lot of more subterfuge and thinking, things of that nature. And the perfect, I saw, originally I had another guy in mind, but after seeing a video on what the dream cast would look like, the only person I can think of who would be able to do this role is Tywin Lannister himself, Charles Dance. Now, Charles Dance is the oldest of all the actors that I have picked for the five great captains, which kind of matches up with the character itself. On top of that, as the great Tywin Lannister, he was scary as hell, and he didn't do any fighting at all. On top of that, he was brilliant. He was a brilliant character, and again, I can't see anyone else but Charles Dance doing this, playing Pedram Neo, however short the character is. Although it would be another character who is brilliant, who then dies unceremoniously. So that'd be a nice little parallel. However, those are the people I can only think of as doing the five great captains. Next week, when I do this, I will do major allies, and then the week after will be major villains. Yeah. And then for the week, I will do I will start my mini-series on academic fields, starting with my own personal one, history, mostly because I know it the best. Then Wednesday, I don't know, stuff's going to happen in the world. Thursday, I will catch you guys up on the Arrowverse, and then Friday, I will touch a little bit on some stuff that's already happened in the U.S. Partially, This Is America by Childish Gambino, and I don't know, stuff will happen in the world. So yeah, this is Josh with Sunday Vlog Day, and I will see you tomorrow.